Tired of doing investment research on stock markets? Wants to go for a walk outside the house with a friend? Introducing iCapital, where you can get investment advice on the go. It is accessible via app and website. Subscribe now to iCapital for stock news. iCapital is reliable because they thoroughly research listed companies, economies, and stock markets. iCapital provides a clear perspective of how markets interact and how it influences your investment. When investors and traders are debating whether to buy or sell their stocks, fret not, as iCapital will recommend Malaysian and global stocks. iCapital is available on Apple App Store, Google Play Store, and Huawei App Gallery.
Hi, Teng Boo here from Capital Dynamics. You notice that my recording today is a bit different. The background is different. That's because I'm recording from Melbourne, Australia. It's a bit chilly on the outside. It's about 12, 13 degrees at the moment. A bit of wind, a bit of breeze. So it's nice. It's different from the hot weather that we're getting back in Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong. Anyway, before I start with today's topic, just wanted to share with you all something which I was quite surprised. I'm here in Melbourne to see clients and potential clients, and we've met with a couple of them. The thing is, this impersonation scam seems to be everywhere. We met with potential client in Melbourne yesterday, and he was also duped into this impersonation of Teng Boo in WhatsApp. So I really don't know what to say, what else we can do, but I just want to remind you all, and could you please share with your friends and your colleagues that don't be simply conned by this impersonation. They are very smart. These operators are very smart. They use Teng Boo's name, they use my photo, they use Capital Dynamics, they use iCapital, and make it look authentic. Of course, they have to make it look authentic, otherwise you would know it's a scam, right? But you got to be smarter than that, because most of the time they'll ask you at the bottom of whatever message or whatever it is, advert that they put up, you notice they'll ask you to click on a WhatsApp link. I want to say this again, even though I've said it many times. I don't use WhatsApp. I've never used WhatsApp in my entire life. So the minute you see someone asking you to click on Teng Boo that's linked to a WhatsApp, you should know that that's a scam already. And the other way is the language, the words that they use is very different from how I talk, how we write. And the third thing that can alert you is this: we have never asked any of our clients and investors to transfer their money online. We have never asked them to transfer it without some application form, without doing KYC, without doing the anti-money laundering checks, because any money that we receive has to go through AML and KYC checks. So if you have some form of instrument or some form of people telling you to transfer your money without all this, that is already a red flag. So please, let me just say this again and again: do not fall for these scams. We, in other words, Teng Boo, Capital Dynamics, iCapital, we do not operate in such manner, and we have never operated in such manner before. You really got to be smart, because if you're scammed by such people, you have got no one to blame but yourself. We have lodged 3 police reports. We have informed Securities Commission of Malaysia. We have informed Bursa Malaysia. We have notified MCMC. And I really do not know what else that we can do. So again, I'd like to make this appeal to you all to please be on the watch out. Now let me dive into this week's topic. It is about geopolitics, economics, and jobs. You will notice that the world community has been facing a lot of geopolitical tension, whether it's over the Ukrainian crisis, whether it's over the Israel-Palestinian crisis, which threatens to escalate to be Israel-Iran and then becoming a Middle East crisis. Then you have the US-China tension. You have all kinds of tensions, situations, problems, crises that are rooted in geopolitics. I'm not sure if you all have ever thought about it, whether your political representatives, your elected leaders, think about the consequences on economics, on trade, on jobs that will be a consequence of this unnecessary geopolitical tension. Because when you have this sort of geopolitical crisis or tensions or whatever you call it, they will impact on economic conditions through trade, through investments, and therefore the impact will flow down to the employment market, the jobs. Jobs will be lost, businesses will be hurt. And I think we got to really ask ourselves, are there better ways of solving problems? Are there better ways, less painful ways of solving differences in political systems, in political values? Let me just share an example, a concrete example with you. Like I said, I'm in Melbourne, and close to Melbourne is the Yarra Valley. So for those of you who have been to Melbourne, you know what Yarra Valley is famous for. For those of you who are not so familiar, it's famous for its vineyards. It's got quite a number of vineyards. And in Australia, there are a number of locations that are famous for their vineyards. Yarra Valley is near Melbourne. Hunter Valley is the north of Sydney. And in Perth, you have the area around the Murray River. So what we did was, we take a look into the consequences of the geopolitical tensions. Now in the case of Australia, they had some difficult times in their relationship with China since Malcolm Turnbull, Scott Morrison became Prime Minister. So as a result of this differences, unresolved differences between China and Australia, there were a lot of measures that were taken in a tit-for-tat manner. Australia will do something, China will do something in response, Australia will respond to that response, and it goes on and on and on. So many years ago, well, not to say many, a couple of years ago, about 4 years ago, one of the response from China was to impose duties and tariffs on wine imported from Australia into China. It was pretty hefty, the countervailing duties and so on, as a result of which the exports of Australian wine to China plunged by about 97% in just about 1 or 2 year period. So from about $1 billion over worth of exports, it plummeted to I think, if I remember, less than 10 or 20 million dollars. Australia has about 2,000, 2,100, 2,200 wineries and about 6,000 wine growers. And this industry employs about 160 over thousand full-time and part-time employees. That is a sizable industry. I mean, look, these wineries, these wine growers, of course, depend on customers buying the wine. And China, over a short period of about 5-6 years, became Australia's biggest wine market. I think in 2014 or 2015, the export of Australian wine to China was about 50-60% of the 2019 level. So in about a 5-year period, the dollar value of wine exports from Australia to China more than double. That created a lot of jobs. That created a lot of business opportunities. Now, because of the geopolitical tension, which arose mainly because of the foreign policy of the United States, which dragged Australia in. Because of that, then the very innocent bystander, which in this case is the Australian wine industry, got dragged in and got affected. And that was something that was beyond their control. Yeah, of course, they tried to export to other markets in the world. In the first place, it is not easy to replace such a big market in such a short time. In the second place, a lot of the other countries that consume Australian wine are also wine competitors. The United States, France, Britain, Germany, they have their own wine industry to protect. So the people, the businesses in the wine industry in Australia had to face these adverse consequences due to geopolitical differences that could have been solved through diplomatic channels. So what I want you all to take away is the foreign policy of the United States have got tremendous adverse consequences for a lot of innocent people. I think we as innocent victims, we got to talk to our political leaders, we got to talk to our government and say that, look, there is a better way. There is a better way to solve these problems. There's a better way for this global community to exist, and that is through diplomacy, through consultation, through negotiations. So, I don't know, we went to a vineyard in Yarra Valley 3 days ago. It was beautiful. It's a 200-acre vineyard. The weather is lovely. It was full of sunshine. The grapevines were yellow in color, and then coincidentally there were a couple of hot air balloons around there. You know, the scene, the background was like magic, and the people who were there, a couple of tourists, were mainly Chinese. And just to give you an update, in March 2024 this year, because of the Labour government in Australia under Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, so they have developed a different approach in the relation with China. It's more diplomacy, more consultation. So as a result, a lot of the measures that were undertaken by both governments have been relaxed. So by March this year, 2024, the counter duties, the tariffs on wine imports from Australia have been lifted by the Chinese government. So the wine industry in Australia definitely welcome this, because you are at least now having a chance, a decent chance of recapturing your largest export market. And that means what? Businesses do not have to suffer, jobs can be created. So I think you got to really go to the vineyard and see for yourself how beautiful the place is and how unnecessary for these businesses to suffer. With that, I hope you share and then like and give your comments, give your suggestions as to what you like us to be discussing. I will see you again next week. Bye bye.